The list was not found in an office, but inside a hollow bedpost after a prisoner screamed before sunrise, and when the guard pulled it free, 5 German names were marked with black crosses, 1 bunk was empty, and a bloodied strip of cloth was tied around the paper, forcing the camp captain to seal every gate before anyone could learn who wrote it, who was being hunted, and why Patton's name had already been written on the final line. The first alarm came from Barracks 5, when a German prisoner kicked over a bucket before dawn and shouted that someone had been taken from the last bunk. The guard on duty entered with a flashlight and found the bunk empty, the blanket twisted on the floor, and 1 wooden bedpost cracked near the bottom. When the guard struck the post with his boot, a folded paper slid out, wrapped in cloth and tied with a strip torn from a prisoner's shirt. The captain opened the paper on the barracks table while the interpreter read 5 German names, each marked with a black cross beside its prisoner number. One of the names belonged to the missing man, Martin Keller, who had worked near the command office the previous afternoon. The captain ordered the barracks sealed, stopped the breakfast line, and sent military police to check latrines, sheds, fences, and storage rooms before the rumor could spread. Martin was found behind the coal shed with his wrists tied and his mouth covered, still alive but too weak to explain what had happened. The doctor cut him loose and saw bruises across his shoulders, while the interpreter found the same black pencil mark on Martin's sleeve. A prisoner in the doorway whispered that the names were men accused of talking to Americans, but he stepped back before the captain could question him. The captain moved Martin to the infirmary, placed 2 guards outside, and ordered the hidden list locked in an evidence box. Before noon, a message went to headquarters saying a secret informant list had turned German prisoners into targets inside the camp. Subscribe for more forgotten German POW stories like this one. The escalation began when military police searched the barracks and found black pencil dust under the stove beside scraps of paper burned too quickly to vanish. A prisoner named Joseph Krantz denied knowing anything, but his locker held a copied work schedule showing when each named man passed near the infirmary, kitchen, or command office. That discovery made the list more dangerous because it was not only naming men, it was tracking their daily movements. The captain ordered every man on the list moved under escort, but 1 prisoner refused protection because he believed accepting it would prove the accusation true. Minutes later, a razor blade fell from his rolled blanket, hidden where his hand would touch it during the night. The refusal ended at once, and military police moved him to a guarded room beside the infirmary. Outside, German prisoners began pulling away from anyone suspected of speaking to Americans, breaking meal lines and work groups into smaller hostile clusters. The interpreter heard 2 men call Martin a traitor, and the captain ordered them separated before the words spread through the compound. A second search found a small notebook behind the laundry pipes, with symbols matching the list and dates besides several earlier punishments. The doctor checked those dates against old injury reports and found 3 men previously treated for falls after their names had appeared beside the same symbol. By evening, the camp was no longer investigating one attack, but a hidden system that marked prisoners before punishment. The captain sent a second message to headquarters, warning that informant accusations had become a weapon inside the wire. The major consequence came the next morning, when all named prisoners were removed from their barracks before roll call and placed in protected housing near the infirmary. The move caused immediate tension because prisoners in the yard saw the escorts and understood that the men on the list were now under American protection. Joseph Krantz tried to shout that the Americans were protecting spies, but a military policeman pushed him back and recorded his words in front of the interpreter. The captain ordered a new investigation table set beside the infirmary, where witnesses could speak without returning through their original barracks aisle. 1 kitchen worker stepped forward first and said he had carried warnings between barracks after being promised extra tobacco. A laundry orderly then admitted he had seen Joseph copying work schedules from a wall board near the command office. The captain ordered the wall board removed and all prisoner movement schedules rewritten under American control. That consequence changed daily life immediately because prisoners no longer knew who would be near the infirmary, office, or work gate at predictable times. The doctor re-examined Martin and two other named prisoners, recording injuries that matched threats from the notebook rather than ordinary camp accidents. Military police then searched Joseph's bedding again and found a cloth pouch with black pencil pieces, torn shirt strips, and a second list not yet marked. The protected prisoners were moved again before nightfall because the second list proved their first location had already become dangerous. By sunset, the list had destroyed the old camp routine, forcing every movement, meal, and medical visit to be controlled by new rules. The prisoners expected another investigator with papers, but Patton's staff car came through the gate without warning, cutting across the yard as guards rushed to clear a path. Patton stepped out before the driver opened the door, took the hidden list from the captain, and read it once while the entire compound watched the paper in his hand. He did not ask which men were informants, because he asked who had given German prisoners the power to sentence other German prisoners inside an American camp. The reversal began when Joseph expected the protected men to be exposed, but Patton ordered their names covered before the list was shown to anyone else. He made the interpreter read only the symbols, dates, and threats, turning the paper from a weapon against witnesses into evidence against the hunters. Then Patton called Martin forward under medical guard and placed him beside the captain, not as an accused man, but as the first protected witness. Joseph tried to claim he was defending German honor, but Patton held up the tied cloth from Martin's wrists and said honor did not need rope, hidden lists, or black crosses. The German prisoners behind the fence heard the words through the interpreter, and the meaning was clear without Patton needing to raise his voice. He ordered any man who threatened a prisoner for speaking to lawful authority removed from the general compound immediately. He also ordered a sealed witness box placed at the infirmary, opened only by an officer, doctor, interpreter, and prisoner representative together. The reversal was complete because the list meant to frighten informants had instead created the first protected witness system in the camp. Before leaving the yard, Patton wrote one sentence across the top of the evidence file. No prisoner will decide who may speak. The final irreversible event came that night, when a guard stopped a kitchen prisoner carrying a folded note toward the protected housing block. The note contained Martin's bunk number, the new infirmary schedule, and 3 words in German ordering him to be handled before morning. The kitchen prisoner broke under questioning and named Joseph as the man who gave him the note through a crack beside the storage shed. Military police searched Joseph's temporary holding room and found the missing black pencil hidden inside a boot heel. They also found a third paper with fresh marks, proving the system had continued even after Patton's order. The captain signed transfer papers before sunrise because the camp could no longer safely hold men who could reach witnesses from behind locked doors. Joseph, the kitchen messenger, and 2 accomplices were placed in a guarded truck and removed to a stricter detention compound. No prisoner was allowed near the gate, but the barracks windows remained uncovered so everyone could see the men who had written names leaving under guard. After the truck departed, the hollow bedpost was cut into pieces, photographed as evidence, and burned in the yard so it could not become a symbol. The protected prisoners received new work cards, new bunks, and movement schedules known only to the doctor and command office. By noon, the first sealed note was dropped into the infirmary box by a prisoner who refused to give his name aloud. The hidden list had begun as a death mark, but it ended by removing the men who believed a name could become a sentence. A week later, Martin crossed the yard with an escort only once, then walked the same path alone while no one dared speak his name. The witness box stayed beside the infirmary, the movement board remained blank to prisoners, and the burned bedpost was replaced with plain steel bunks. When Patton's order was copied into the camp record, The captain underlined the final line because everyone understood what it meant. Behind American wire, no German prisoner would be allowed to turn another man's name into a verdict. Most people know how World War II ended. Very few know what happened inside these prison camps. Subscribe for more untold WW2 stories.